Hello, everyone. Today we continue breakdown of CCTV's annual anti-corruption blockbuster. No one step, not one step stopping, not half a stop retreating. This is episode 3, cleaning up the hunting pollution sources. Today we'll go through it from the bottom of the system all the way to the top. The final person showing in this episode is Li Ying, former director of the Beizheng branch of the Jinzhou Medical Insurance Service Center in Liaoning Province. According to the documentary, she colluded with the private hospitals and turned ordinary Chinese people's life-saving medical insurance money into a personal ATM. She didn't just pocket the money herself. She spread it throughout the entire system, from leadership down to ordinary clerks at service counters. Even front desk staff were paid off. State media claims this case is highly representative, saying the Public Medical Insurance Fund suffered huge losses. But, friends, let me ask a question that really hits home. So many corrupt officials have been arrested. Has any of that recovered money ever been returned to any one of you? When you go to the hospital today, is it any easier to get reimbursed? Do you get more coverage? No. So here is the reality. In 2025, China's medical insurance deficit hit a record high. The so-called medical anti-corruption campaign used the people's anger to over expensive healthcare to clean out the system. But where did the money go? No one knows. And the CCP has never disclosed the accounts and never will. What has happened is this. Since the crackdown began, doctors and nurses across China have gone months without pay, and many hospitals have gone bankrupt. Online, you see doctors and nurses holding signs begging for their wages, but in CCP propaganda, only success stories are shown. The reality facing frontline medical workers and the growing burden on ordinary people is completely ignored. The documentary also brings up a name every Chinese person recognizes, Jiang Chaoliang. People know and despise him because of his disastrous handling of COVID-19. During the outbreak, he had no idea how fast the virus was spreading, how serious the situation was, or how severe the shortage of medical supplies had become. What's, what's the irony is this, or tragic to Chinese people? A man completely clueless about epidemic data came from China's elite financial system. If arresting Li Ying was meant to calm public anger, then taking down Jiang Chaoliang was about cutting off escape routes. So who is Jiang Chaoliang? A former chairman of Agricultural Bank of China, Bank of Communications, and China Development Bank. He's also the former party secretary of Jilin province and Hubei province. He represents the old political forces that dominated China's financial system for the past 30 years. The documentary reveals that the Jiang brother used his banking connections to recklessly approve loans and grab land. A interest network with hundreds of billions dollars. So why drag him back out in 2026? The timing tells everything. First, political damage control. International pressure to hold China accountable for COVID-19 has never stopped. By pinning corruption and incompetence on Jiang Chaoliang, the CCP is telling the world the early failures in Wuhan were the fault of a few corrupt officials, not the system itself, not the CCP at all. And Jiang becomes the political stop-loss point for pandemic accountability. Second, he's being sacrificed to kick off the new anti-money laundering crackdown. Families like the Jiangs, deeply embedded in finance for decades, control countless white gloves and overseas accounts. To wipe out this disobedient old money, the regime needs a full-scale purge. Speaking of old forces, we have to mention Hong Lihe, the official who openly threatened airline passengers on a plane. That kind of arrogance, shouting about investigating passengers in public, comes from the massive patronage network he built over years in the Jiangxi Development and Reform Commission and the provincial CPPCC. By placing relatives in key positions, he controlled projects, built networks, and funneled profits into his own accounts. Hong Lihe isn't an exception. The arrogance and brutality Chinese officials show toward ordinary people is unimaginable in democratic societies. Now, here's the key question. Why did Li Ying, Hong Lihe, and Jiang Chaoliang, three seemingly unrelated cases, explode at the same time? Let's look back. The documentary's title, Cleaning Up the Hunting Pollution Sources. It blames business people, claiming the business people, hunt officials, and that weak-willed officials fall into corruption. But what's the reality? In China, there is no real market economy. The CCP's authoritarian hand controls everything. Project approves, permits, loans, construction, skimming profits at every single step. So, who is really hunting whom? Are officials the pride or are business owners? Think about it. That's a popular line. There is a popular line out there right now. The most skilled hunters always appear as pride. But don't misunderstand me. The real hunters aren't officials or business people. They are both just meat inside the CCP's meat grinder system. On January the 17th, China's central bank issued a notice. Together with 8 ministries, including public security, state security, and foreign affairs, they launched a special anti-money laundering preventive measures set to take effect in February. Just listen to that name, preventive. That means if the CCP thinks you might launder money or even suspects you might, it can freeze all your accounts, including those of anyone it considers connected to you. The document openly states these measures do not require prior notice. In plain language, if the CCP suspects you, it can act immediately. No evidence, no due process. The law allows freeze first, investigate later, bypassing the entire legal system. Imagine this. Ordinary people who saved their whole lives, private business owners who spent decades building companies, and one day you spend money or send a red envelope to a friend or family members, suddenly you are labeled as a money laundering risk. Then your accounts are frozen, your assets are gone overnight. That should chill everyone. Xi Jinping isn't even pretending anymore. For money and for the political battles ahead, he wants total control over everyone's wealth. So cracking down on corruption and wiping out old forces is really about tightening surveillance over every Chinese citizen. I wouldn't say it's not limited to just Chinese citizen. It's basically any person who has Chinese descent. So the message is clear. Every cent must stay under the party's absolute control. So let's wrap up today's live stream. Do you see the pattern? For medical anti-corruption to purging Jiang Chaoliang, this is a coordinated play. Use public anger over healthcare, harvest old money through financial purges, and fill fiscal holes, including the medical insurance deficit, and expand total surveillance. In this kind of anti-corruption, as they say, officials, civil servants, and ordinary people all end up on the chopping block. Ordinary people gain nothing. Medical reimbursement is still difficult. Pensions keep shrinking or disappearing altogether. The only thing that's grown in the anti-money laundering digital prison hang over everyone's head. Dear friends, protect your wallets. See through this performance. Who is the real pollution source here? And who poisoned this land of China and brought endless suffering to its people? The Chinese Communist Party. Without the CCP's authoritarian control and plunder of national wealth, business people would simply do business. Why would they need protective umbrellas at all? This is a system that forces people into corruption. The CCP is using laws and technology to lock the entire population into a cage. In the next live stream, we'll look at how the regime uses technology to enslave people and to continue exposing Xi Jinping's grand anti-corruption chessboard. See you next time. Thanks for watching.